On October 1, 2023, the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, entered into application in its transitional phase, with the first reporting period for importers ending January 31, 2024. The gradual phasing in of CBAM allows for a careful, predictable, and proportionate transition for EU and non-EU businesses, as well as for public authorities. The CBAM initially applies to imports of certain goods and selected precursors whose production is carbon-intensive with high risk of carbon leakage. These industries include cement, iron and steel, aluminium, fertilizers, electricity and hydrogen. This video very briefly discusses this subject for the benefit of young entrepreneurs planning to start manufacturing setups aiming for exports to European countries, where CBAM has been enforced. The EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, is being implemented in two main phases: a transitional reporting period from October 2023 to December 2025 and a definitive implementation phase starting in January 2026, when financial obligations begin. The primary goal is to price the carbon embedded in certain imported goods to prevent carbon leakage through industries moving to countries with less strict climate policies, and ensure fair competition with EU products subject to the EU Emissions Trading System, ETS. All the salient features in the roadmap to CBAM are described in preceding slides. The CBAM is being initially applied to imports of certain goods and selected precursors whose production is carbon-intensive. Indirect emissions are covered in the scope after the transitional period for some sectors like cement and fertilizers, on the basis of a defined methodology outlined in the implementing regulation published on August 17, 2023 and its accompanying guidance. The portal will allow operators to ensure the confidential treatment of business-sensitive data. Reporting declarants will then be able to automatically populate their CBAM reports with this emissions data in order to comply with their reporting obligation. Registration for installation operators opened from January 1, 2025. The Commission published default values on December 22, 2023. This report from the EU's Joint Research Centre, JRC, fed into the preparation of those default values. CBAM will apply in its definitive regime from 2026. This gradual introduction of the CBAM is aligned with the phase-out of the allocation of free allowances under the EU Emissions Trading System, ETS, to support the decarbonization of EU industry. Financial obligations begin from January 2026, where importers must become authorized declarants, calculate verified embedded emissions, and purchase CBAM certificates to cover the total reported emissions. The financial obligation will gradually increase as the EU phases out free ETS allowances for domestic producers, ensuring full implementation by 2034. The EU is also committed to help those countries interested in introducing or enhancing their carbon pricing systems. Various documents are available that provide an overview of guidance and technical support offered by the EU as well as of programs supporting the green transition in developing countries and LDCs. If Euro 60 per ton of carbon dioxide generation tax is levied, it will result in price escalation of around 10 to 11%. The EU's Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, is the EU's tool to put a fair price on the carbon emitted during the production. CBAM will ensure the carbon price of imports is equivalent to the carbon price of domestic production, and that the EU's climate objectives are not undermined. Technology Education and Mentoring Center fully supports the CBAM in the interest of conserving environment through reduction in carbon generation.